Welcome to another episode of Driver Stories. I'm your host, Pam Spaccarotella. Today we're diving into the history behind Lawson Cryogenic, and we're speaking with special guest, Christian Spaccarotella, president of Lawson Cryogenic. We'll discuss the beginning of Lawson manufacturing and what sets it apart from the world of cryogenic trailers. Join us as we share insights on Lawson's exciting journey ahead. Many of you know, Christian's last name is Spaccarotella, of the Spaccarotella family,
Clan Spaccarotella.
the Clan Spaccarotella. And it all started with the beginning of LGT back in 2012. And it started in our house, a small house on Stony Brook Boulevard. Josh was, I remember he was just leaving elementary school and he's going to Nyhart.
Yeah.
2009, I went to the city,
Yeah.
and it was during that time that the mayor was being recalled, and I needed a backup plan, and LGT turned out to be the backup plan.
Oh, okay.
So you were in high school
I was in high school.
as I was developing the business plan for LGT, and you had expressed an interest in going to West Point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so before we get to that, we're going to talk a little bit about Christian. Christian was the middle child,
Mm-hmm.
and he was interested in math.
Math and science.
Math and science.
Yes.
Yeah. So what started your interest in math?
I was always good at math. Math came very, very easy to me. The best story I have is I didn't study for the ACT because I'm not a studier. And I went and took the ACT and got a 32 in math. And everyone said, well, how'd you get a 32 in math? I said, I don't know. But it worked out. So math's always very easy to me, but I always liked physics. Physics was a very strong concentration of mine for a while. And the running joke that I have is I got to quantum mechanics and I was like, wow, this is really hard. And took a step back and had to reevaluate and went back into math. So I always enjoyed math classes. Calculus is one of my favorite subjects, even though most people, don't like it too much. So,
So do you
where I ended
consider?
up.
So looking back on it now, many of you don't know the history of Christian. Christian was probably Christian always reminded me of my brother. My brother was not a student. My brother was a hands-on learner. I always remember that back in the dark ages, when they had massive TVs, they weren't flat panel, and behind the TV screen there was all this electronics, and my brother was really interested in electronics, and so they used to be able to purchase these things called Heath kits, where you could actually get all the parts and make your own TV, and that's what my brother did. He built this massive TV that was almost like a credenza in our house out of this Heath kit. But he never went to college, and he didn't like studying, and so I guess that translated into Christian. I don't think you liked college.
No.
You didn't like
I didn't like the classroom.
the classroom.
Yes. I did enjoy math because when you're in the classroom, you're doing the work, I guess is the best way to explain it. Whereas like here at LGT, I'm not just sitting behind the computer, I'm getting out in the shop, right? And so you're actually doing the work when it comes to mathematics, and you get the result. I love the result. The result is safe. And the same thing with maintenance and manufacturing, right? You're building towards that one thing, right? And so that's probably what I do my best work in.
Yeah. It's interesting. People learn in different ways, right?
Yeah.
Some people learn by books, some people learn by doing.
Yeah.
So LGT gets started in 2012, and you're in college and you're studying physics.
Physics at the time.
Yes, at the time. And somewhere along the way, you decided
To move to math.
Right. And after you graduated, what was your first job?
My first job was at Creek Carrier Trucking, I believe is the name of the company, but Creek Carrier is what they're known as. And I did off-hours dispatch and basically relay optimization, would be the best term for it. So whenever there was a hot load, we tried to optimize where we could get it on time. We had to do what we call T-calls, I think, if I remember right, and you would drop the load somewhere in the middle of the United States at one of the drop terminals they had, and then you would find a driver to pick it up and take it the rest of the way while still trying to make it on time. So
Right.
Yeah.
And you worked the night shift.
I did. The mid shift, right?
Okay.
There was 3 shifts, and mine was 3:30 to midnight, or 4 to 12:30.
Okay.
So
And so you worked there for about a year,
about a year.
and then you came to LGT,
I did.
and you were the first maintenance person.
I was.
Yeah.
I started off by entering invoices into Prophecy, if you remember doing that. It's been a long time since we've done that. Yeah. Prophecy was an interesting animal, still is. But it was a very good learning tool,
Okay.
right? You basically take all the invoices, right, and you get involved in the repairs, because then you have to enter those invoices into the system, right? And so you learn all the systems that come on the trailers and what parts are involved in that system, what parts get changed out, and what the failure modes of each of those systems are, right? So that's how I first learned about it.
Okay. And so then, once you started off just beginning,
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember how many trucks we had when you first started.
You might have had 100.
Okay.
I always thought it was more around 40 or 50, but I think most people will say you had 100 trucks at the time.
Okay.
And we were still in that, what do you want to call that, the business center.
Yep.
Yeah.
Over there near the post office.
Yeah.
Right.
And we had, I think, the maxed amount of space used per person.
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
until we got the place we're at currently put up, right?
Right.
And drivers would come into this little shopping mall area to trade their trucks in. If you remember that, they
Yep.
bring this big helium container with them, and they park. And all these people next to us are like, "What are these people doing with all these trucks? There's no room to park anywhere."
Yep.
So
That is
much
true.
better now that we have a little shop to do that in. But,
Mhm.
yeah.
So, tell us about how you learned about. Let's talk about the tractors first.
Okay.
Okay. So one of the things that you've learned how to do is you've learned how to read manuals.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of change in technology
Sure.
on the Cummins engine since when you first started.
Yeah.
So what is it that you do to learn?
A lot of it is going to be through experience, and when failures occur, you learn how to take those failures in stride. But in terms of reading the manuals, you get documentation, as well as access to a number of tools. Like with Cummins, who's our engine provider, we have QuickServe, and they have this portal called QuickServe where you can go in there, type in an engine serial number, and get all sorts of manuals related to the engine serial number and how they determine engine serial numbers, to how's the fuel system set up. You can actually look at a parts breakdown of the entire truck on the PACCAR's ECAT website, is what they call that. And so then you can click on the truck itself. You can click on the hood, and it'll pull up all the parts related to the hood. Or you can type in parts, and that was my first venture with parts and part naming systems, and how complicated that can become. Because you have to search for a certain verbiage when you're looking up certain parts. So, because everybody's got a different name.
And all of that is self-taught, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I do have a lot of help. You've had a lot of smart people that you've hired over the years that definitely taught me a lot, right? Like Mike Long and like Donnie Stevens, Steve Myers. And they, went on a couple of loads with Steve Myers, I think, when I first was getting started, to learn CO2, right? And Donnie taught me how to build a trailer from the ground up, because he can, right? Mike told me all about vacuum and how the annular space works on the cryogenic trailers, right? So,
Right. So it's kind of a mix, right?
yeah.
It's really nice in this particular role for you. What was the blessing is you came at it with a mathematical background, right? Which is basically what mechanics is, and you got put into a position where you had the opportunity to touch and feel,
Yeah.
and try different things. Come back to your desk, download a manual, and read it. Now, how anybody can read a manual is beyond me. I find that really difficult. But then I can read a DOT regulation, right?
Or an accounting book.
Or an accounting book, right? I mean, we all have tools of the trade
Yes.
that we go to, but it's a gift, right?
The big part about it is problem solving. You have a problem, how do you solve it, right? And in math, it's the process that you learn.
Yeah.
That's the best way to explain it.
Yeah. So here you are today. You're now the director of maintenance for LGT. We have, I don't know, 250 trucks, right? And
Sure.
almost 180, 190 trailers.
Pretty close.
And so you've hired mechanics now. You've developed relationships with Peterbilt, Kenworth, Freightliner, Alloy, all of those vendors, and now we're at the beginning stages of a new venture.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that new venture is the manufacture
Right.
of the cryogenic trailer.
Correct.
So, what interests you most about that new venture?
Well, so in maintenance, it's all about repairing, right? And the dedication is you have a piece of equipment that is supposed to be making deliveries and it's not, right? And so the focus is of course the delivery, right? Now there's the safe operation of the equipment, right? But our goal is to maximize its efficiency. In this case, I'm going to be maximizing the life of the equipment by making the perfect equipment up front. A very unique opportunity and a scary one at that. Right? You have to build something that's going to last years, right? Decades for these trailers. And all the little intricacies that comes from maybe just one part going wrong, 2 years before the trailer's finally assembled, causing a problem 5 years down the road is a very interesting concept to me. And it happens all the time in engineering and manufacturing.
So, what is it that makes you qualified to be president of Lawson Cryogenic?
Wow, that's a good question there. I will say I think I've come up with a lot of good experience over the years here at LGT. But I think I'm always willing to learn is probably my best quality. I'm not afraid of some new tactic that's going to help us get to a better product. I've also learned from probably one of the best people in the industry of how to hold myself accountable. That's you, Pam. Taught me that in every detail, and without it, I probably would not have made it here.
So let's talk about your team.
Yeah.
Elliot?
Yes.
Tell us about Elliot.
Elliot is probably one of the smartest people I've ever met. He can calculate just about anything without even having to try. And while I may be a mathematician, simple arithmetic is not my strong suit. I do not calculate tips on a very speedy scale when I'm giving tips at restaurants. But more than that, Elliot has a way of reading through the entire ASME code book and remembering small things that are going to affect us years down the road. And so he's fantastic in that regard. And of course, he's able to take what he sees and turn it into a three-dimensional design using the software that he's got that is incredible. So.
Okay, so what about Yaz?
Well, I think Yaz is brilliant. He's able to build just about anything you can ask him for, and he's the perfect bridge between technicians and engineers. He was there from the start at Lawson Cryogenic.
Yeah.
And I know I've probably talked to him in some range between there. He was always working on the ISO containers. And so when it came to the trailer stuff, we actually didn't have much contact for the first couple of years. And then when this started coming up, we started to get to know each other. He's a big baseball fan. He took me and Elliot to an Astros game for the first time we were down in Houston together. So he's a great people person, a great leader, and I think he's going to be fantastic for us at the manufacturing space.
One of the things about Yaz, for sure, he's a great leader.
Yeah.
Right? But he also holds people accountable.
Yeah.
Right? And he doesn't have a problem holding people accountable.
True.
But the other thing he's really good at is setting customer expectations.
Yeah.
And watching him down at the manufacturing or the Baytown facility,
Yeah.
He runs that.
Oh yeah.
Mike doesn't even get involved in that.
Right.
Right? Because Mike doesn't need to. He's the type of guy you just turn on.
Yeah.
Right?
he's going to be fantastic for running the team that's actually doing the building, right? The actual manufacturing part of it. Once you let him loose on it, it's going to get done. It's going to get done on time, and it's going to be right.
Why Gretna? Why Nebraska? What makes? I mean, some of your competitors are in Houston because that's the center hub of the oil and gas industry. Others are in the Midwest, which is the center of manufacturing. And Gretna, Nebraska is just a point on the map.
Yes, it is. I'm very biased when it comes to the answer to this question because I live in Gretna. But I do think that Nebraska is very supportive of manufacturing. It's also very supportive of trucking. I don't know how many trucking companies have been in Omaha, but you can probably count most of them, right? You have Warner Trucking, which is here. You have Creek Carrier in Nebraska, two of the largest trucking companies out there. Manufacturing-wise, you actually have another tanker manufacturer here in Omaha as well. Been here for, I want to say, 50 plus years, maybe even longer. Lots of wide open space and great distribution network for the trailers when they're done.
I started LGT Transport, and I started as a trucking company, and people always ask me, why'd you do it? And I mean, there's lots of reasons why I do it. I think primarily it was driven by people, and I had a lot of people that supported me and people that were looking for a home, and it just seemed a place where we could all fit in. So I started LGT, and in 2016, there was an individual, and we would be remiss not to mention Mike Long, right? And up until that point, I had totally depended on Mike Long to repair the trailers. He was instrumental in getting LGT Transport off the ground. I don't know what I would have done without him. When something broke down, he'd prioritize me, he'd get me fixed, he'd get me up and running. And it was a great relationship and still is a fantastic relationship. In 2016, he made the leap of faith, and we started Lawson Cryogenic Manufacturing Repair together in Baytown, Texas. And we always knew that Baytown was going to be the hub of the repairs because that's where all the trailers are. For anybody that's in the industrial gas industry, everybody knows a third of your business is in Houston, a third of it, always. So we started Lawson Cryogenic Repair in 2016, and I always knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to make trailers. I always wanted to make trailers. I wanted to make something because transportation, you're providing a service, but in manufacturing, you're actually making something. You're putting your name on it. You're saying, this is something that I built. This is a quality piece of equipment that I'm putting out with my name on it. It's got my name, right? And it's going to be there forever, right? And so a lot of people also ask me, well, where did the name come from, right? Well, if I'm going to put something out there and it's going to be a quality piece of equipment, I want my dad's name on it, right? My dad's name was Lawson. And when I started LGT, I thought I made the mistake of not calling it Lawson, and I always wanted to rectify that. So when the opportunity came, when I created the entity for the repair and manufacturing business, I put my dad's name on it. And nobody knows my dad, and that's the amazing thing about people that come into your lives is, you're the one that remembers. And my dad would be so proud of all the people at LGT and all the people at Lawson Cryogenic. He would be so proud of what everybody has accomplished together. So, with that being said, what are we focused on? We're focused on building the best cryogenic trailer in the industry. The best. We don't want to make 1 million of them, right? We don't want to push something out there. We want to make a quality product that's going to stand the test of time, that's going to hold its vacuum for as long as possible, and is going to provide great value to our customers at the least possible cost. That's what we stand for. That's what we want to build. We expect the first trailer to be completed in the last quarter of 2025. We do not plan on marketing that trailer, though, because we're going to run it. That's the beauty of the Lawson Cryogenic LGT relationship, is LGT gets the opportunity to test that trailer through and through until we know we've got quality.
Yeah.
Lawson's going to distinguish itself from the other manufacturers out there because, again, we're going to build the best quality product for the least possible cost, and we're going to service our customers. We're going to build them when we say we're going to build them. We're going to deliver them on time, and we're going to. That's what's going to set us apart. I hope they describe it as customer focused, quality product, great vacuum, and good people. It's just somebody you want to do business with. That's what I hope they say about Lawson. I'm really excited about a new venture. I'm excited about watching it grow. I'm excited about watching all these amazing people come together and build this quality product. And I can't wait to see what the customers say about LGT and Lawson Cryogenic. I just can't wait. So this wraps up the latest episode of Driver Stories. Hope you enjoyed the episode. And if you want to hear more, please follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We hope you enjoyed getting an inside look into the beginnings of Lawson Cryogenic and the vision that drives our work. To learn more about LGT, please visit our website at lgttransport.com or connect with us on social media. See you at the next episode of Driver Stories.